I spoke to Darvin Ham yesterday after the show, the Lakers head coach. He won a championship with the Pistons. He played 8 years in the NBA. He also won the slam dunk contest back in 1996. He also brought down a backboard. He played at Texas Tech. They were playing against North Carolina in the tournament, and he brought down a backboard, broke it. He was in the slam dunk contest, and that was the slam dunk that Kobe won in 1997. He's been around the league. He was with the Bucks. He was with the Hawks. He was with the Lakers. And now he's back with the Lakers as the head coach. And I started the conversation by saying, you played against both Kobe and Michael Jordan. How would you compare LeBron James' approach to being great to those two players?
Mike was the trailblazer in the term of the type of modern basketball we see, the way he was built, his athleticism, his multifaceted game, the way he could shoot, the way he could play, make, defend. He kind of was a guy turning the page forward to, beyond the Magic and Bird era. And then you had Kobe, who was like an offshoot of Mike, really eerily similar to the same physical makeup, same type of playing style. Kobe doesn't get, in my opinion, enough credit because he's so much the prototypical Michael Jordan guy. Like, he's attached to Michael forever, in my opinion. But even standing on his own, he was able to, make leaps and bounds in terms of his impact on the game and, what he was able to accomplish individually. But LeBron is just like something we've never seen. A guy at that size, that physical stature with that skill set, and the ability to play all five positions is like LeBron to me is like a new version of Magic Johnson 2.0. I have this funny saying, Dan, to myself, like every NBA player has an NBA father. You look at Kobe and Mike, you look at, to me, Magic and LeBron, you look at Dirk and Larry Bird, like everybody has a NBA father. So it's fun to talk about, but what LeBron has been able to do in his own era and leading the charge for this new crop of young talent is second to none. I mean, he's right up there, top five, in my opinion, of all time.
You turn 49 next month. Why did it take this long to get a head coaching job, in your opinion?
I don't know. You might have to ask some of these ownership groups and some of these front offices. I had a young coach one time ask me, what does he need to do to become an NBA head coach? I said, well, you're asking the wrong guy. I haven't become one yet.
I know how not to get a head coaching job, apparently.
But, it's everything has its own time. I like I always say, we're all on God's time. And sometimes you may think you're ready for something, but, it's just not your time. The circumstances, are various in various situations. But I'm here now. I feel comfortable in the seat. I'm not fearful or apprehensive about anything. There's no perfect way to go about doing this. You ask all 30 NBA head coaches, and they may give you a different answer on what they need to do to be successful. And I've learned a lot. I've had the opportunity to play and work alongside some phenomenal head coaches. So I feel comfortable in my skill set. I'm going to make sure we do our due diligence and put a good staff around me and put together the best roster we can possibly put together and move forward one day at a time.
He's the new Laker head coach, Darvin Ham, joining us on the program. Did you keep any part of that backboard that you shattered back in 1996? Did you think about keeping any of that? I
do have a few pieces of glass in a little case in my man cave.
What do you remember about that game? Was against North Carolina?
Yes. It just, the one thing that always sticks out is the way we were just counted out before the tip-off, leading up to tip-off. No one thought we had a chance, and they had a formidable ball club. They had Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, Shammond Williams, Jeff McGinnis. They had some really, really good players, about 4 or 5 pros. So, and here we are, this little bitty team from West Texas who had a great record, but not great recognition because of playing the fact that we were in a very small market. So a lot of people didn't get a chance to see us, but just that game started out just back and forth. And up until that play, you know, it was a really hard fought game. And once that play happened, it just completely shifted the momentum to our direction. So it's a great memory. It's something that I get reminded of all the time. I still get magazines to sign in the mail.
Oh, cool.
I still have people show up to arenas talking about that play, and it gets mentioned all the time, even 26 years later.
Well, if you would have done that in the slam dunk contest, maybe Kobe wouldn't have won, right?
If I'd have taken my time in the slam dunk contest, I think I went a little too fast, but I'm still bitter about being the only one that made 3 dunks and 3 really nice dunks at that and didn't make it to the second round. So that was I think the fix was on.
Help me understand. I think people expect you to fix Russell Westbrook, and at his age, he's not changing, but what is your game plan for Russ and how to incorporate him better into the Laker offense?
I think the style of play we're going to have, you know, all of those guys, not only just Russ, but LeBron, AD, they're going to be able to share the load. And one thing I mentioned to Russ is the way I'm built, the success I've seen, especially most recently here in the last 9 years, in the last 40 years, being with Coach Bud in Milwaukee, also in Atlanta, but in Milwaukee. One thing we always preached and will continue to preach to be our foundation of our teams is a defensive mindset, being able to defend at a high level. And I challenged him, and he accepted the challenge. You know, that's a part of the word sacrifice we use, and being able to move him around in different spaces on the floor as we go back on the offensive end. Sometimes he's going to be off the ball, slashing. Sometimes he's going to play in the dunker. Sometimes he's going to be initiating things. He may post up a little bit. He may be the screener in pick and rolls. So being able to diversify his plan of attack, where he's not just rushing the ball up the court, facing 3 defenders every time and having to, you know, put his, like I said in the press conference, run to the telephone booth and put their capes on. Like, everybody needs to be involved with what we're doing on both sides of the ball. And I think it'll make it easier, lighten the load, and also allow us to get stronger as the season gets longer.
I've mentioned this before on my show that the Greek Freak, Anthony Davis was Giannis before Giannis, but it feels like Giannis has surpassed him. Why is that?
Well, I think, you know, it's a real part of our game, the element of injury. When you're not able to stay healthy, you know, it stunts growth. But, you know, I just saw Anthony yesterday. He looks great, doing a great job taking care of his body. And the key for him has always been just to have him available. You know, when he's healthy, he's one of the top 5-7 players in our league. And, you know, the biggest thing with that is, again, lightening the load and making them feel like they don't have to take fourth quarter shots in the first quarter or play playoff basketball in the first month of the season. Everyone has to pitch in. And I think different ways will move them around defensively as well as offensively. We'll lighten that load a little bit, where he's not flying all over the place, having to cover for everyone defensively, or he's not taking a beating every single play down the floor, just trying to ISO, like playing faster offensively. And again, having that team pride and every man accounting for one another defensively, I think will help him, give him the best chance to not only stay healthy, but get back to that championship level of play that we've been accustomed to seeing him.
Do you care who wins the NBA Finals?
Not really.
Are you going to watch tomorrow night?
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm kind of rude. I have to be honest, and Laker Nation, don't beat me up for this one. It's more on a personal level, but you know, I love Steve Kerr. Both of those guys, he and Ime, are extremely good human beings. But it's a little something in me with Ime being a first-time head coach and doing what he's doing. I think, especially as an African-American coach, first-timer with that organization, the magnitude of expectations that are there with the Celtics, it gives me a lot of inspiration. It gives me a lot of excitement. And, you know, I wish them both well, though, at the end of the day.
Steph, the greatest shooter of all time?
Could be. I played with a really good one in Ray Allen. But, yeah, if head-to-head, sorry, Ray, I'll probably have to put my money on Steph.
If I said Bird, Ray, Steph to win the game.
Oh, I'm going with Larry Legend.
Oh.
I'm going with Larry. I'm sorry. Larry at 6'9", 6'10", with that strap he had on his arm. Nah, I'm going with Larry.
Did he do damage to you?
Larry, I grew up in Saginaw, Michigan, man, as a Detroit Piston fan. And so Magic Johnson, being from Michigan, was always my favorite player, but the Pistons were always my favorite team. And, man, some of those Piston-Celtic battles in the 80s, see, I'm of a certain age. I'm dating myself now, but I fell in love with the game in the 80s. And I thought you had some of the best NBA basketball, some of the best matchups, some of the best college ball also. But those Celtics, man, with Bird, McHale, Parrish, Dennis Johnson, all those guys. I hated Danny Ainge, like Jerry Sheesting. Like all those guys. I still laugh with Cedric Cornbread Maxwell when we were playing them in the series. And those, I hated those guys, man. Everybody in the state hated the Celtics. Especially now I'm a Laker. It's deepened even more.
Great to talk to you. And congratulations. Good luck, Darvin.
Thank you so much, Dan. Great seeing you.